Good morning. This is kavasseur. My name is Douglas LaRose. I write reviews for the kavasseur website, and I maintain the website. And I'm an avid kava drinker, and I'm here today to participate in this new kavasseur podcast.
And I'm Chuck Boyce, and I'm just the guy that has found out about kava largely thanks to Douglas. And I'm going to be like the Ed McMahon of the Kava Show, I guess. So Douglas, how did you learn about kava? What got you into drinking kava?
Well, I'd say about 12 years ago, I was in a junior college, and I was working at a health food store in North County, San Diego. And I was, kind of looking for something to mellow me out. I was, kind of stressed. And I was, trying to finish classes before I transferred to university. And in the herbal medicine section, they had some instant kava that was called Kava King. And it's kind of the the old equivalent to what we now know as Fire Island kava or Shaman kava from Nakamala Home. And yeah, and I bought it, and I just mixed it with some water, and I was just blown away by the effects. It just calmed me down, and allowed me to kind of take the edge off the end of the day. So
I'd never heard of this stuff, and I'm not even quite sure how I found it. I was just out there searching on the internet for some cool stuff, and I think I was Googling for like liquid Xanax just for giggles. And and sure enough, if it didn't come up, I thought, oh my god! And I mean, the first thing that I saw were supplements, and I had a really bad experience with the kava supplements. But then it was reading your website where you talked about how people have been drinking kava in the South Pacific Islands for like 3,000 years and things like that.
Right.
And did I read correctly that you've been to some of those South Pacific Islands?
Yeah, my career is as an anthropologist, and I do a lot of research in different parts of the world. And I've been down to the Solomon Islands, where one of the best kavas comes from. And they do have some knockamals down there, but unfortunately the part of the country I was working in isn't a very big kava drinking part of the islands. But nonetheless, yeah, I do know some of those places. My dream is to do some research in Vanuatu one day. So hopefully that's on the horizon. I'm trying to arrange for that. So.
Wow. Now, anyone that has ever had kava, I guess coming from a Western background like myself, one of the first things I noticed was the taste. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not crazy about the taste. I mean, what makes me interested in kava is the effects, not so much the taste. It's very relaxing. But I mean, I've read where you said that some kavas you really enjoy the taste. Now, I've had kavas like Solomon and things like that, which are very, very bitter. Are there? How would you describe the differences in taste in the kavas, and how would you describe your enjoyment of the taste? Because I haven't really seen a kava. I mean, I've got to have an orange nearby within 10 seconds, or I'm going to get sick. I'm exaggerating, of course, but
yeah.
I mean, can you just talk about the taste of it?
Yeah, kava is a very strange. It's a very strange drink. I mean, anybody who drinks kava, especially who comes from a Western background, is gonna see kava as it tastes like pond water. It's like mud. But however, like beer or wine or coffee, what initially is a very unpleasant taste. It becomes something that you become familiar with, and then you start noticing, the little variations in different origins and different varieties and different brands. And there's a lot of variety in the kavas out there. I mean, just looking at the Nakamal at Home line, which is one of the major distributors of kava in the United States. You compare something like the Chief's Jungle kava from Papua New Guinea to Wow kava from Vanuatu. And you have, on the one hand, a kava that's very piney and pungent and grassy. And then on the other hand, you have one that's more kind of a creamy, nutty kind of flavor with kind of a more mild aftertaste. And believe it or not, I've actually grown to really, really enjoy the flavor of kava. But then again, I've had more than 35 different kinds, and
Yeah.
you begin to notice these things over time. So
That's a good point, like, because, I mean, like, I remember the first time I tasted whiskey, and I was like, oh, this is awful. But now I think to myself, who would, now I think, like, who would drink whiskey straight? It's a waste. It's pointless. You want some water in there, or you want some ice. I mean, and I guess it's the same with kava. Like, as you learn more about it and you learn how to brew it, you make it more you make it such that it tastes better, and you learn how to use it. And that's a good analogy, because whiskey by itself tastes horrible, but as you learn how to drink it, maturely, you can appreciate the subtleties and the textures, and that's a great way to compare it.
yeah, I think coffee too. Coffee is one of those things where when the first time you drink a cup of coffee, when, I can't even remember when that was, but it's just like this is horrible. Why would anybody drink this? But then you start to drink different kinds of coffee, and you're like, oh wow, this this Costa Rican coffee is just amazing, and this Jamaican coffee is amazing, and coffee is the same way.
So I'm sure that there's a different mix of people listening to us right now. There's probably people that are they know a lot. They've researched a lot about kava. They've invested some time into drinking kava and learning about it. And then there's probably people that have no idea what we're talking about. They don't even know what kava is. Why don't we talk a little bit for the people who know nothing about kava, and people who know absolutely nothing at all. What is kava?
Well, kava is a drink. The name kava is for the drink that comes from a plant that's called Piper methysticum, which is not a naturally occurring plant. It was domesticated from a wild species called Piper witchmani, and that probably occurred in Papua New Guinea. Although there's some debate about these things, but that probably occurred in Papua New Guinea about 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, possibly more. But it's a drink that's made from the roots of that plant, and in the Pacific Islands, people sit around in the evening, usually around dusk. They get around a kava bowl, which is a big wooden bowl that holds a lot of kava, and they sit around and they drink kava to relax and to end the day. It also has some kind of spiritual and cultural significance to it, so it's an important part of their culture that they undertake every day. More recently, people in the West have discovered the therapeutic properties of this plant. It's very it's very relaxing, and for people who struggle with anxiety, it's medicine, and it's far preferable to the chemical drugs on the market that are prescribed by doctors and the such.
I sort of see it as, I don't even look at it as medicine. I sort of see it as sort of the inverse of coffee. Like people that enjoy coffee, they grow to like the taste, but really what it does is it's a very, very mild stimulant. And I sort of see kava almost like coffee, where it's a beverage, and you can learn to enjoy it. And it's a very, very mild. It is to anxiety what coffee is to stimulant. It's not a huge anxiety reducer, but it's a very pleasant feeling you get in a subtle way, almost like coffee is. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I would agree with that. I think that it's not a good idea to overstate the medicinal qualities of kava, because people who are really struggling from those kind of disorders, like anxiety disorder, they should probably talk to somebody about that instead of just starting to drink a lot of kava, because it's probably not going to work that great for curing those kind of ailments.
But it's very relaxing. I mean, it's very unusual, because the first thing that struck me is that I had complete mental clarity, and yet I still felt very warm and relaxed and peaceful, and that's important if you want to you still want to read, or you want to do something like I don't know, practice guitar or something that requires your mental dexterity. You still have that, and yet you're very relaxed. That was very surprising to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the best things about kava, and it's what really got me into kava because I as a I've been in graduate school for a long time, and always have a lot of work to do, and drinking alcohol or doing any other number of things doesn't really contribute to your productivity. I mean, you can't drink a couple beers while writing your dissertation. And but kava, on the other hand, it relaxes you while allowing you to maintain your productivity, and that's a huge benefit. It's probably the main reason why I love kava so much.
Wow. Now, the first thing that one of the first things I found when I was researching kava was that it was banned in some countries, and the supplement. And I came across the whole controversy, and there are people that say that the obvious thing is that the companies that did research into kava were pharmaceutical companies that had a lot to lose if kava hurt their sales of anti-anxiety drugs. But the other thing I read was I believe it was a university researcher in Hawaii that said that the way that some of the supplements were being manufactured used parts of the plant that were never and are never part of the kava that's used at the nakamalls in making kava tea. I mean, I know you have a little link on your website there, the War on Kava, and I mean, in my mind, I just think that those bans have been reversed in Europe because I think possibly because of this research done in Hawaii, where they pointed out that the supplements were made in a very cheap way, using parts of the plant that.
Since you're talking about the supplements, just to mention it here. They're bunk. I mean, I've tried different kava supplements that are in the gel capsules, and I've never had any good experience with them. So I would agree that that's where the danger is, and that's also where the benefits aren't.
Yeah.
So yeah. I would definitely stick with the dried kava powders that are available off the internet. However, the kava that's drank in the South Pacific is made from fresh roots. So there is a little bit of a difference in how the kava is prepared that you buy online versus how it's made in the South Pacific.
Okay. So let's talk now to the advanced kava drinker. What is your favorite kava at the moment, and why?
My favorite kava right now, as of this morning, and you have to understand this changes every few days probably. But my favorite kava right now is a kava that's made by Kava by Rex, and it's called Vanuatu 3 Special Edition. It's been all the hype in the kava world. If for people who are involved in that small circle, it's a very, very good kava. It tastes really good. It's easy to make. With 1 pound, you can make a good bowl of kava with 2 tablespoons of this stuff, and it'll just make you, you'll have a great night. It's very relaxing, and it really tunes up your mind, and it's just a great overall kava.
Now, do these kava producers, do they know about you? I mean, like, a lot of people read you, and I mean, if you tell me that a kava is good, I'm going to try it. So, I mean, do they reach out to you and try to get your opinion and try to make sure that you know about them?
Yes, yeah. I'm in contact with a lot of the kava vendors. Whether it's I email them a lot of the time to initiate our relationship, but sometimes they also reach out to me, and usually they'll send me some samples and stuff for me to review. It's kind of a weird thing because you don't want to have any biases when you go into reviewing kavas, and I tell them that. I say, if you send me kava and I don't like it, I'm not going to praise it, even if it's free. But yeah, I've received different varieties of kava for free. I still buy a lot of kava, my favorite brands of kava and my favorite varieties. I buy them because I tend to run out fast. But I have a lot of kava that's